Hey everybody, it's been a little minute since our last video review, but we're back for 2022 here at Cycle News. The first bike that we got for you is the 2022 Kawasaki Z or Z, depending on where you live in the world, 900 SE. Now, as you might have guessed, the SE is the second version now that you can get from the Z900 platform. You can also get things like the 900 RS and things like that, but we're not going to worry about that too much today. The difference is with this one is different suspension, different brakes. Everything else is the same across the board, so you get the same 942cc inline 4-cylinder motor, cranks out about 125 horsepower and about 73 pounds-feet of torque. So you get the same chassis, you get the same seat, your bodywork, you get same tires, same Dunlop tires, but obviously big difference. Probably the number one thing this bike actually needed was to get better suspension and better brakes. For 2022 and for the SE model, you get Brembo M 4.32 calipers, which have been around now, let's admit, they've been around for quite some time. I mean, I think I remember seeing those things in like 2014 or maybe even before then, I don't know. So you get M 4.32 calipers, steel-braided brake lines, and that's matched to a new Nissan master cylinder, which provides a lot more feel. Braking power is not, it's not like it's hugely changed. The conventionally mounted calipers on the old bike, you could stop pretty easy, you know, it wasn't that big a deal. It's just the feel that you got at the lever. That was the big difference. So that's changed a lot, and look, it's a change for the better in my opinion. It's obviously matched to ABS, and the ABS you cannot switch off on this bike. Bit of a bummer because sometimes the ABS kicks in a little too early for what I would have liked. I find that's a little bit of a Kawasaki trait with many of their models. Switching over to the suspension, the first thing I noticed when I rode the bike was it's much stiffer. It's stiffer, but I'm, being a bit of a heavier dude, I'm 192 odd pounds before I put gear on. So for me, I actually quite enjoyed that. It held the chassis up a bit nicer, especially under braking. Fork didn't dive through the stroke anywhere near as much as it previously did. This new fork, this new Showa fork, is fully adjustable, so you can dial in and out, but I'm just using the standard settings of what you guys are going to pick it up from the showroom. This is basically how it's going to feel. So for me, I found that a much more enjoyable ride. The road holding was a little bit, should I say, rougher, I guess. Didn't quite soak up the bumps as nicely, but when it came to actually getting into the corners and really sort of going for it, the bike was much more taut, much more predictable, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. The shock is also a big improvement as well. The S46 shock, that it doesn't have compression. It's got rebounded preload, but I just left it in standard settings and just noted the big difference for me was when you would crack the throttle at side of the tire feel, you'd crack the thing on, and it wouldn't drop down initially in the stroke. It would just it would hold itself up a little bit more. The best part about that is that you don't run wide on your corner exits. What's it going to cost you? Well, the base model, like everything in COVID times, has gone up. Gone up $200 to $9,199. Keep trying to say those nines, you just keep tripping over your own tongue. If you want the SE model, you're going to have to throw an extra $1,500 at it, and that for me is worth it in my opinion. I think if you were to ride the bikes back to back, there would be a big difference. Kawasaki unfortunately does not have a base model in its press fleet, so I can't do it, but I remember what the old one was like, and this one's better. On top of that, everything else is exactly the same. Also, before I forget, the $1,500 also gets you a Kawasaki paint job. Yay. So the green, the really cool green that was on the base model, that's now been stripped from the base model and it's now put solely to the SE. The SE gets that, the base model gets pretty bland looking grey and blue colours, and that's just the way it is. 31.5 inches is the seat height, so look, that's going to work for a huge variety of guys and girls. Probably if you're over 6 foot, you might start to find it a little bit cramped, as I did. But it's a very nice commuter stance, like if you're just cruising around, just zipping up to the shops and things like that, it's fine. But for getting into it, I find it just a little bit too cramped for my style. But that's all good. Yeah, everything else Same Dunlop tires, same main chassis. Electronics, you can also use the Kawasaki Rideology app, which is really cool. You can do all your navigation, do your phone, and all that stuff. To be honest, it's not that revolutionary anymore. Most manufacturers have a version of it, but it's still a cool thing to have with the Kawasaki. But overall, it's a good bike. And considering it's under 11 grand, we all know that MSRP is not the final price you pay, but it's starting to creep up there a little bit, really, because I kind of label this bike as the competitor to something like the MT09 SP from Yamaha. The big thing that it doesn't have is cruise control. Bike like that, really, it's got all the bits on it that it should have cruise control. It should just come with it. The MT09 SP is only a couple $100 more, 300 or so bucks more, and does come with it. So for me, I just think like Kawasaki should have thrown that in. If they did throw that in, then this thing's going to be a real winner. I mean, it still is. It's still a good bike, but like just a little, like give the customer a little bit of a tap on the shoulder. There you go. Some free cruise control will be really good. Maybe they'll do that for the next SE. Who knows? Anyway, guys, this was just a quick review. I really enjoyed the time on it. It's a good bike. Has a few flaws, but overall, it's not a bad thing. So yeah, anyway, guys, if you like this review, please give us one of these ones. Questions, comments, concerns in the description below, in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Anyway, guys, we're back for 2022. Can't wait. We're going to do it again. See you soon. Cheers.